There's a lot of legislation we have to pass, judges we have to confirm, and I just don't think that engaging in speculation is the way to go. And certainly, I think impeachment talk is something that is not something that we should be engaging in right now.
Welcome back to Harvard. That was Democratic Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois saying now's not the time for Congress to be discussing potential impeachment against Trump. Well, the question comes as the president's former lawyer, of course, Michael Cohen, says that Trump directed him, he said under oath, to commit felonies on the president's behalf. Pretty serious stuff, criminal stuff, felonious stuff. How should Democrats handle this news? For that, I'm joined by Rob Reiner, actor, director, and activist. Rob, I've been following you for years, publicly and privately. You study the issues of all the people who look at this system from the outside. You're about the best informed. Okay, what should the Republicans be doing? Let's start. Where are the Howard Bakers? Where are the people that are going to stand up on this thing?
Well, they're not there yet. But if you and I are about the same age, Chris, and remember back to Watergate, it's pretty much parallel to what you're seeing now. There are little tiny whispers here and there. You got a Corker, a Ben Sass, Jeff Flake. You got a couple of people talking, but nobody's really making the move. Until, in Nixon's case, until the tapes came out, then you saw a complete flip. But you got to remember, and it took a long time. It took almost 2 years. And you got to remember that even when Nixon presented with the tapes and actually resigned office, he left office with about a 25%, 26% approval rating. There was still a chunk of the country that would not abandon him. And I think you'll always see that group behind Trump. So you're never going to penetrate that. The thing that's going to get the Republicans nervous is if the Democrats take back the House and take back it in a significant way. I'm talking about 40, 50, 60 seats. They're going to really start getting nervous because then the Democrats have subpoena power. They start having hearings in public, people under oath, and you're going to see a lot of these Republicans start to move. Then, on top of that, you'll have Mueller's report comes out, and dollars to donuts, whatever expression you want to use, it's going to be the truckload. It's going to be, you think this is bad, what's happened the last couple of days with Cohen and Manafort? It's child's play, compared to what's going to come at Trump. And then you'll see everybody jump ship. And my gut instinct is that Trump won't make it through his first term.
Well, you have confidence because in 1973-74, from the Saturday Night Massacre all the way through the tape, the June 23rd tape, it was based on evidence, a piece of tape that showed Nixon basically running the cover-up. Do you believe that the Republican Party today, the way they've been coached not to believe in objective truth up until this week when Rudy Giuliani said truth isn't truth to Chuck Todd on Sunday, do you think they might be beyond evidentiary arguments?
Well, they're beyond the smoking gun big bomb that drops in the middle of the Capitol, where they see the evidentiary arguments. They had a little bit right now. They have Cohen talking about committing a crime and connecting the president to that crime. So that's a little bit of evidence. They can wishy-wash around it as much as they want. But when big evidence like obstruction of justice, conspiring with an enemy power to influence an election, those are big things. And when that evidence starts to come, then I think you'll see them start to change, because that 25% will never, ever leave the president. But you need more. You need at least 40% for them to stick around.
Let's talk Democrats now. You're Jerry Nadler. You're about to be chairman. It looks like if the Democrats win the House, you're the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. You're the next Peter Rodino. What should you say in the next few months? Anything? The I word, it's been thrown around a lot more in the last couple of days. And there's certainly enough to impeach the president right now because it's a political maneuver. But I would say that you shouldn't be talking about that now. First things first, get the House back, have the hearings, go through it methodically, see what Mueller comes with, and if all of that, the aggregate of all of that, then you can talk about starting impeachment proceedings. And then we'll have President Pence. Anyway, thank you, Rob Reiner. Who knows? Anyway, up now.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.